Hello and welcome to the Trumped Up Podcast. I am your host, Keith Rao. This is Season 3, Episode 4, A Tale of Two Americas. We just introduced a brand new website. You can go over to the Trumped Up Podcast Facebook page, and there's a link to the website there. Remember, you can catch this podcast across all major podcasting platforms. We were just added to, I believe it's called JIOO or something, but it's one of the popular podcasting hosts in India. We're going around the world with the Trumped Up Podcast. But just so you know, 98% of our listeners, nobody's watching. But yeah, 98% of our listeners are here in the United States. I believe it's 48 states now and the District of Columbia. So whatever those two states I can't figure out that haven't listened, you guys should tune in too. But chances are they're liberal states. That's why. And Massachusetts, you're the winner. You are the most listeners in the state of Massachusetts. A liberal state has the most listeners of the Trumped Up Podcast, which just tells me there's a lot more people like me out here in my liberal state. But to get out towards the capital out there in Boston, and yeah, then it's a whole different world with the paper straws and the stupidity and all that craziness. Remember, you can also join the Trumped Up Podcast group and all that good stuff. So let's get right into it. So the President Trump and Joe Biden candidate both took dueling trips to Kenosha this week. The differences here are, one, the president went there in a presidential capacity. Trump met with law enforcement and business owners that were affected by these riots and arson and looting that's going on out there in Kenosha and all the chaos in the streets. He also brought and offered federal aid to those businesses that are affected by the riots because he has the power to do this, unlike Joe Biden, who originally wasn't even going to go to Kenosha until the president announced he was going there. Yet again, the Democrats' strategy of react and be on the defense, like we talked about in the last episode. Also, Trump would have met with the Blake family, but they demanded their lawyers be present. I don't know why, the whole Trump. But really, if you're just going to it's an honor to meet the president. I don't care who you are. If you have that opportunity, you should take it. You really don't need lawyers. I mean, you could have demanded it was on camera. That's okay. But lawyers, really, we don't need lawyers here in a discussion of what you think the cops could have did differently and what federal law enforcement can do better and how they can work together. Because there used to be these task force where you'd bring in the feds, the state, and the local law enforcement, and they'd work together and they'd reduce crime. And they do these things and take down drug lords and gangs and all these crazy things in our streets. But apparently this isn't acceptable in the modern world we live in. But yes, for some reason, these Blake people wanted their lawyers present, which I don't get it, but it is what it is. So during Biden's trip out there, he did an event with some reporters. He didn't meet with law enforcement or any of the businesses that have been affected by this crisis, or the COVID virus for that matter. No, he didn't do any of that. He did meet with the Blake family. I don't know if there was lawyers present or not, but I would assume probably, judging by they wanted Trump to have lawyers, but maybe not, because it turns out Jacob Blake's father is a supporter of the racist anti-Semite, the Reverend Farrakhan, which takes us back into the last administration. And I don't know, Biden would probably accept that guy's endorsement, which would cost him the entire Jewish vote in America, guaranteed. So Biden answered one question by not answering and saying if he revealed his plans, they would shoot him. One, that rhetoric needs to be toned down totally. He could have said they'd ream him a new one, to put it politely, or they would have freaked out or something, but saying they would have shot him, that's encouraging and inciting violence, and nobody should do that, especially in these crazy times. Now, who he meant would do this is beyond me. Was it the squad, Bernie, Pelosi and Schumer, the media, his handlers, Barack's people, the BLM people, the Antifa people? I don't know, but maybe, who knows? They are causing chaos in the streets. It's ridiculous. So we're going to take a really quick break here and get in a message from our sponsor, and we'll dig deeper into the really busy week we've had in politics. Hey, you too can join the podcasting world and be one of the greatest podcasters out there. Build an audience, get sponsorships, earn money, and do many, many interesting things. You can also get listener support to help sponsor your show, all by using Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to become a podcaster. Anyone can do it. If you got something to say, or someone thinks you got something to say, or you just want to say something, come and join Anchor and join the podcasting revolution. Hello and welcome back to the Trumped Up Podcast, Season 3, Episode 4, A Tale of Two Americas. So, it was announced this week in the media that the gangs have formed a pact to start shooting cops, and we lost another one in Cleveland last night. But every time there's a police-involved shooting, these are released instantly to the public. I don't know, and they're all happening in Democrat cities, so call me conspiracy theory, but I think they're doing it on purpose, because between the Democrat-run cities and these gangs that want to attack police and take them out, and the media is fueling a freaking, not only a race war, because they're trying that one too, but they're trying to start a war on cops. But you got to understand, united we stand in America, and divided we fall, and we're totally divided right now, and we got to get past that. I mean, even if you don't like the president's personality or him as a person, you got to think about who's going to do better for America. And I mean, Joe Biden's been in politics for 50 freaking years, and what has he done besides the 1994 crime bill, which in that event, he also said the most delusional thing I hear out of Democrats lately, that anyone who's convicted of a drug crime, which would include selling drugs, doesn't mean you use drugs, wouldn't go to prison. They would go to mandatory rehab. So the guy that doesn't do drugs but sells masses of $10,000 a month worth of meth is going to go to rehab. Is there rehab to rehabilitate drug dealers? Because it doesn't make sense, and drug dealers belong in prison. But yeah, a lot of which ties into, you see all this chaos in these Democrat cities, and like in Chicago, there's so much violence because the gangs outnumber the police 3-1, because there's something like 117,000 gang members, and there's only 33 or so thousand of them, the police, and a lot of them are retiring now and moving to nicer places so they don't have to deal with this craziness. Places like South Dakota, which the wonderful commercial I keep seeing on my television, but it is what it is. But yeah, the media, they got blood on their hands fueling this, but this is all this chaos is funneled by the drug war. You're never going to stop this, so in my opinion, just decriminalize all drugs, actually legalize it, and put it into a better way where people aren't going to die. I know you might think that's the liberal side of me, where on social issues, because we're never going to stop this, and the war is never going to end, and it's just going to lead to more dead cops and more gangs and more violence. And I guarantee we could solve like 50% of these problems by just eliminating the drug war and taking the profits out of these people. You know, the more states that legalize marijuana, sure, people are making legal profit off the marijuana, but there's still, a black market out there with cheaper prices. But eventually, as the price comes down, as there's more and more of these places, it'll be like buying a six-pack and cheap as hell. So let's move on from that. And the Antifa member who killed a Trump supporter last week was actually shot and killed by federal law enforcement. I believe it was the U.S. Marshals after he admitted to doing this crime. Don't worry, there won't be no protest for this guy and riots because he was white. But that's okay, right? Yeah. But before I go on a rant about that, let's go into Pelosi's salon setup, as she called it. One, I don't get why this lady can't wash and blow dry her own damn hair. Really? How many of you people out there have to go to somebody and have them wash and dry your hair? In my day, that was called being lazy. But whatever. If you want to go to the salon and support the business owner because it helps them, I'm all for that. But if the government of your state, who you are a congresswoman in, shuts down all the salons, which I got to say the lady probably was violating because it said she was serving clients all along, but it is what it is in the world, and I don't blame her. I call it a protest. How's that? She wasn't violating an order because the overreaching government order is probably illegal, and they can't shut you down your business after they take all these freaking fees from you and taxes for a business you're supposed to be able to run. Hey, no taxation without representation. If you can't run your business and your tax, that's exactly what that is, and it violates the Constitution. But the Democrats don't get it because they don't believe in our Constitution. They want to tear down the system and build, I don't know, a shithole country. But I don't want to live in a shithole country because if I did, I'd go move to one. But I don't want to. Thank you. I want to live in the greatest country in the world, America. And I want it to be even greater and better, and we're always going to improve, but it's just crazy. But yeah, this lady is third in line to be president of the United States. God forbid something happened to Donald Trump and Mike Pence. What are the hell of the odds are that? Well, actually, in this day and age, the odds could be pretty good. It's probably better than the lottery that something could happen to them in the times we live in. We're in a world that I've never seen between the masks and the government lockdowns and the chaos in the streets. I don't think it's ever been this crazy in America. I don't know what's going on. It ain't from people smoking illegal weed. That's one part of Tucker Carlson's show I don't agree with because he thinks like it causes psychosis and all this crazy thing. But hey, I could do a study and make it say any damn thing I want. But then but this woman is third in line to be the most powerful person in America, yet she got set up according to her. So if you're stupid enough to get set up, but you called and asked if they could make an appointment with you, so you're just stupid to begin with, and I don't get how these Democrats don't realize, and the criminals in the street, there's cameras everywhere. You go to an ATM, there's camera. Go by a convenience store, there's camera. Everybody's got a Ring doorbell now. Really, you can't go in public and not be filmed. Trust me, somewhere you went that day, you're being filmed. You went to Walmart, oh man, they're filming you. You can even watch yourself on the screen they put at the register, at the self-checkout. But yeah, it's just crazy that these people think they can do these things and no one's ever going to see it. Like Bernie was bad-mouthing a Walmart because of their record profits and massive amount of money they make. And I guarantee there's footage somewhere of Bernie shopping at Walmart. Guaranteed, him and his wife. They probably furnished all 3, 5, 7, however many houses they have off of the money they made off of your donations and your tax dollars. So Bernie actually is living his policy. He's the socialist. He's taking money from the government and donations and living it up while you sent him your last $14. Why you would do that is beyond me, but whatever. That's your choice. But yeah, if she's that stupid, she really should resign from being Speaker of the House because she's not capable of figuring out something that simply you could figure out. That if I go and do this, hey, I'm going to be on camera, somebody's going to see me. And then she bitched at us all about the mask damn thing. And guess what? She wasn't wearing a mask. This woman is delusional. I don't know how you people in California keep electing this crazy, drunken old woman. Really, she's not doing anything for you. She hasn't done anything for you in years. If you think she has, maybe you should go pick up a few needles off the street in San Francisco. Or get a hose out and pressure wash the streets of all the crap that's there. Literally, crap. But whatever. So let's move on to Cuomo's army comments. So Cuomo comes out and tells the president in some interview he was doing that if Trump thinks he can come to New York, he's going to need an army. One, he has an army, the U.S. Army. He also has Secret Service. He also has U.S. Marshals, Customs and Border Patrol, and many other federal law enforcement agencies, as well as intelligence agencies. But the point that Cuomo missed is President Trump has an army. He has an army of deplorables, 60 million plus strong and growing. So we'll just go with Mr. Trump to New York, but you're also going to need the army to protect yourself from the increasing violence in the streets of New York City, which is from Deblasios' failures in defunding the most successful crime unit they had and getting rid of 600 officers and murders and shootings and chaos and going up in New York. But de Blasio is all crying that Donald Trump said he's going to cut funds to these cities that keep allowing this rioting and looting and arson to continue, and if they don't stop the riots. So de Blasio's hypocrisy says, I'm going to complain you're going to take my money, my funding and grants, and then I'm going to sue you and cost my state and city lots and lots more money, when what Donald Trump actually stated would actually defund the police, which is exactly what these idiots wanted. And I don't think Trump can do that anyway. There may be some things he can do, but I don't think he can stop all pre-issued funding. And yes, there would be tons of lawsuits and but pretty much anything President Trump does, there's going to be a lawsuit to challenge him. I wish I had millions of dollars to waste on stupid lawsuits because I'd just spend my money on something more useful than dumb crap like that. So, now we'll go back to the Portland mayor here. Guy still supports riots and does nothing about them, but when they came to his neighborhood and they tried to burn his building down, he decided to abandon his city and move. So, here, you live in this hellhole shithole that's going to be destroyed and burnt down and looted, but I'm getting the hell out of here. Good luck. Hey, Portland, wake up. Vote for somebody else. And I just caught this one right before I started recording this episode. The FBI has raided, I believe it's several nursing homes in Pennsylvania for neglect. I would assume that has to do with putting in residents that were sick into these nursing homes, as well as not keeping those people separate from the healthy individuals that are there, as well as the Pennsylvania Public Health Secretary removing her own parent from one of these places. Plus, they also were stealing the residents' stimulus checks. This is one sick-ass thing you could do. You're stealing money from poor elderly people who are already in a nursing home with the chance they could die from a COVID virus because they're in the high-risk category. Which, let me go off on a side note of that. When we started all this testing, the elderly of 65 and plus were coming up testing positive at a rate of 15%. That is down to 2% now, positivity rate of people 65 and older, as we do more testing. All the positivity rates are going to come down as we do more testing, because the more testing you do, the more negatives there's going to be. So I'm just going to finish up with a thought I have of, you now have the choice of what America you want to live in. With only 60 days until the election, the most important election of your life. These people always say that in the media, but seriously, this is the most important election of your life. Do you want to live in an America that's beautiful, safe, prosperous, and great, and always improving itself with less government control? Or do you want to live in a world that looks like Chicago, LA, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Baltimore, New York City, and many other places in America? The choice is yours. What do you want to live in? Chaos or prosperity? This is the Trumped Up Podcast. I'm your host, Keith Rao. We should be back next week with another exciting episode. Thank you for support. We did create a new website. If you go to the Facebook podcast page on Facebook, you can catch the link to our website. If you go there, there's a contest where you the listener, can win a signed copy of the Democratic Asylum and Political Manifesto in paperback form and a MAGA hat. There will be 5 winners. If you go to that contest page, you can go in there and do the trivia and answer the questions, and if you win, we'll let you know. It's open until Election Day at 11:59 p.m. That's November 3rd, 2020. So I thank you for support. Share the podcast. Send us listeners. Get us more likes. Do your part to make the Trumped Up Podcast better. And if you'd like to be a guest on our website, there's also a contact form. Fill out your info and we'll get back to you. I'm Keith Rao, and I am out.